to IGN Live here at Gamescom 2018. Guess what we're talking about? If you looked at the schedule, you probably could guess. It's Black Ops 4. Yay! So we're really excited. I'm really excited, and I'm with these fellas. So I feel like we have to start with the elephant in the room, the question that so many people want answered, which is, can you tell us anything new about Blackout?
Oof. Well, the easy one is that Blackout Beta starts September 10th.
Very excited.
For PS4. On the 15th for Xbox One and Early Access for the PC. And September 15th, Open Beta for the PC.
So there's tons of opportunity to get your hands on it and see what it's about.
Absolutely.
Even if you can't actually tell us what it's about right this second.
Yes, but we hope everybody tries it because the feedback is going to be really what we're doing this for, so we can continue to make the game better.
Well, I think we can say at least that it's a tribute to anything Black Ops. So, I mean, everything, you know, it's a heritage. There's a lot from the history of the Black Ops universe, so I think that's what people will definitely enjoy when playing Blackout.
Yeah, well, and I think what I'm so excited about Blackout is, like you're saying, it's this history of Black Ops, which is an incredible franchise within a franchise at this point. But it also is just bringing in this new element of Battle Royale, which, so I'm very excited to see you guys' take on that. You mentioned feedback from the beta.
Yes.
So just on a broad scale, can you help me understand, like, what are you specifically looking for? Do you usually go into a beta kind of being like, oh, I think these might be some issues or these balance issues? What are you thinking while beta's going on?
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, there's just raw data. Like we're drawing from, you know, KDs and win rates of weapons and specialists and being able to use all of that to rebalance. We're looking at feedback from, you know, players, what they write on Reddit, what they post and what they tweet. We're grabbing all of that and using all of that to just make the game better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and same goes for PC. Basically, the idea is just to grab the data and see what the fans, what the community is saying about the experience. Because let's face it, the plan for the PC version this year is really to come up with the best PC experience for Call of Duty ever. So we want to make sure that we grab that feedback from the community so that we can address it and make sure that we ship a game that's you know, the best PC experience possible.
I mean, we even got data on like what keys people bound to see if we needed to make changes to the defaults, make sure that it felt as natural to everybody who plays the game their first time.
Wow, that's so I find that data stuff really interesting, but I will not bore the rest of the internet with my fascination with data. So you talked about the PC version, which is so exciting because I feel like it just feels so amplified this time around. I know it's on the Blizzard launcher for the first time.
Yes.
Can you talk about that and the decision that went into making that happen?
Well, I mean, just to be clear, you know, as the co-CEO head of Beanox, our team is dedicated at developing the PC version. So working really closely with Treyarch, but for the first time ever, and for the longest time I remember, I mean, we secured a team early on so we could develop all the feature sets that, you know, PC gamers would want. And part of it has to do with, you know, flexibility. And that's one of our core pillars, is making sure that they can tweak the experience the way they like it.
Meaning the players.
Yes, the players, of course. And so that means that, you know, it means starting working early on design elements that will be specific to the PC audience. And that's what's great about it. So, you know, working closely with Treyarch, we make sure that the game we're putting together is, you know, works and it is great for the PC community.
Yeah, and part of the PC community, I mean, is the Battle.net experience. I think is the flexibility, and what Blizzard's brought us is the access to like their compatibility lab. Again, being able to make sure that we're testing on the widest assortment of hardware possible, and, you know, being able to work with their security experts and making sure that stability is going to be rock solid for launch. All of these things are, you know, important to PC players, important to Beanox and Treyarch, and it's been a fantastic collaborative experience.
Yes.
So just there, I have so mmany questions about just the PC version itself and how it differs from the console experience. So you mentioned design elements.
Yes.
Are there barrels on the map that maybe aren't there on the console version? Like, what do you mean by that?
So when we're talking about the experience, you know, it's still going to be the same great experience. But we don't call this a port, because what this means is that we have a dedicated team of engineers and designers making sure that design choices are made specifically for the PC experience. So the maps are going to be the same. You know, the ecosystem is going to be the same. So you're still going to have your specialists, your weapons, and all that. But what it means is that we need to focus on what it means to play with a mouse and a keyboard.
Totally.
And so, you know, things like, you know, where, of course, we want to have uncapped frame rate, but there are things also we want to support like widescreen, ultra widescreen monitors. Playing the game on a 32:9 screen is pretty amazing, but, you know, that comes with design elements. You know, where do you place the UI and how does that play into the experience? And there's a lot of multiple gameplay and graphical options that goes into the PC version. So depending on how you want to play each specialist, depending on you know, how you want to play with your field of view, these are our gameplay options that we provide to players specifically for PC.
Those are so many things that I just would have never thought of as far as, oh, it's a game on console and now it's going on PC. I kind of would just assume, my naivety, that, oh, you just kind of do the thing. Yeah. So that's great to hear that, you know, that investment's there.
You know, there's a lot that goes into making sure that it's, you know, it feels comfortable on a mouse and keyboard. That also the weapon tuning is right. Like we did, I mean, on the getting from the beta, looking at how snipers and shotguns compared PC to console, and be able to make choices that, you know, it still feels core Black Ops, but that what, you know, on PC, that snipers aren't ruling the day, that there's a well-balanced experience for everybody.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
And what's great is the collaboration, really. I mean, because the whole idea is that, you know, the both games are going to ship at the same time, but it means that, you know, we stay true to the core experience that Treyarch is developing. So our team is working closely with Treyarch with any kind of decision that would go into the PC version, just the menus themselves, like, you know, just the entire menu flow had to be sort of reworked for PC. And when you're thinking about all the options, even from a gameplay perspective, like, you know, depending on how you want to play with your specialists, for instance, this is where we will allow for, you know, if you have use their ability to either hold on the buttons or toggle. I mean, there might be things that players want to tweak differently. These are all the kind of things that we will present to Treyarch and make sure that we're going in the right direction.
So you talked about the sniper balancing. How are you approaching balancing console versus PC? Is that something where your studio is handling that and coming to Treyarch and saying, like, listen, we noticed this, we want to change it? How are they being balanced separately? What is that looking like?
Well, so everything starts with sort of the common weapon tunings that Treyarch does. But as you said, like, we get the data, and Beanox really is going through the numbers themselves and making recommendations to Treyarch. And there's at least once a week call between designers of both studios as they talk through the stats and decide, you know, how to best deal with it. Like, you could tell, like, one, the snipers may be slightly stronger on the PC, but then the question is, how do we deal with that? You know, and there's a couple of different approaches. It's not just making the damage less. There's everything from reload times to your rechamber times,
hit recoil,
lots of things that we could sort of tune to try and adjust the balance.
Is there like a go-to thing that kind of is the first test? Like, maybe is that weapon damage when you're balancing a weapon?
So I think we use
a lot.
I mean, we use the KD and the popularity of the weapons to best decide, you know, find where are the things that are sort of maybe out of balance. And then from there, it's player feedback, it's playing it ourselves and being able to see kind of each weapon as its own special snowflake.
I mean, it definitely, that's very sweet. That's very touching. I like that. You guys should make shirts that say that. So how do you get in the minds of a console player versus a PC player? Because, I mean, they definitely want and need different things.
Yes. Well, I would say I'll start with, you know, especially regarding PC development, is that Beanox, we have a long history of PC development, and I think that it comes with the passion for a PC game. So a lot of the folks back home at Beanox are passionate PC players, and so that really helps set the stage for the things that they want to see in a game done right. And so, you know, talking regularly with Treyarch, that really helps set the stage for a successful PC title. But it really comes from the passion to really make it happen and make it right. So we constantly have meetings where we just go over what we're putting together. People have opinions, and so we try to listen to what they have. And some of them are, you know, retired pro players, so, you know, they have an opinion, and we make sure that, you know, we care about that. And sometimes we know ahead of time what the community might say, and this is where we'll address it firsthand. And where the beta comes in, this is where we get the extra amount of information that maybe we hadn't thought about. But it's really, it comes to the core of like the passion for the PC experience, at least from my side.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't hard. I mean, we are PC players, we are console players.
Definitely.
So it is drawing from our own experience, as Thomas said. I mean, there's lots of opinions brought to it all the time, but it is, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the reason that Beanox is on this project is Treyarch recognized that the PC community, that we were hardcore PC players too, and we wanted to make sure that the PC was getting that kind of attention and love, and Beanox was, available, and it was
a great fit to make that happen.
Absolutely.
Yes. Totally. So let's talk about the competitive communities on both consoles. Well, I guess both consoles and the PC.
Yes.
All three of them. So going back to, PC players want something as far as competitive, and so does Xbox. And I feel that, mouse and keyboard moves a lot differently than a controller. What are you thinking when you're thinking about that competitive community and what that means for having it on two separate platforms?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Well, I would say when we're thinking about the competitive community, I think that we think about it globally. It needs to be the same great experience. So we're not trying to separate, what you're going to be going through. One thing that's really important with Black Ops 4 this year is the team competitive aspect that comes into play.
Definitely.
The importance of team play, because in this case with the specialists, they all come with their different abilities, and clearly it's never been that much tactical. So there's this sense of picking up the right characters, and communication becomes the key. We tend to say that you can be a badass on your own, but you're unstoppable as a team. So that through competitive play, that's really something that will come across in this title.
Yeah, and fairness. I mean, I think everybody wants a well-balanced game, so it isn't like one specialist is totally OP or like that. There's something for everybody to do and feel competitive and feel fair.
Yeah. I think everybody does love fairness. That's a good thing to hear someone say who is in charge of balancing this game. So one last question I do have is in regards to, you kind of touched on it as far as like the tactical nature of this game and the increased time to kill. Where did that decision come from? And like at what point during the process were you kind of juggling with maybe we should make it?
I mean, I think the heart of Black Ops 4 really is Black Ops 3, and it's the experience from Black Ops 3 and wanting to double down on the specialists that sort of started in Black Ops 3 and the feel of it, and a lot of those decisions that came from. I mean, David Von der Hart's talked about this too. Is the like what was it at their core, and making sure that we were sort of tearing down all of our sort of initial beliefs and wanting to know that like if you're going to have all these specialists and they're going to have abilities, they have to matter. And so that goes to everything from the manual heal, the fog of war, all of these things sort of both play to the tactical nature of the game and also to the specialist abilities, and it sort of all grew organically from there.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. I cannot wait to get my hands on Blackout. So stay tuned, everyone, because we are coming back with more